The following video is based on an extraordinary, actual reported encounter. Their names have been changed for privacy. Two gentlemen, Jeffery and Marvin, had been friends since high school. In the fall of 2003, they ventured into the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia in search of ginseng. Little did they know their excursion would be a tale they would never forget. They were hiking through the dense forest, hearing only the occasional chirping of birds, when suddenly a loud wood-knocking sound echoed through the trees. They exchanged a glance, but shrugged it off, attributing it to wildlife. An hour or so passed, and they found a peaceful spot to rest and eat their packed sandwiches. Mid-conversation, they heard something large moving in the trees nearby. They scanned the area, but saw nothing. Just as they were about to resume their meal, a large rock landed a few feet away, startling them. They cautiously scanned the area. Seeing nothing, they decided to continue, albeit more alert than before. As they moved deeper into the woods, they stumbled upon a strange sight. A bunch of large tree limbs leaned against a tree, forming a makeshift shelter. They investigated and found signs of something bedding down inside, even a ratty old blanket. Marvin's eyes widened as he turned to Jeffrey. "Have you ever read or seen anything about Bigfoot? 'Cause this sure looks like a Bigfoot den to me," he asked. Jeffrey chuckled. "Yeah, and the Easter Bunny stays in it when he comes to town, too." They bantered back and forth, but their skepticism wavered when another huge rock landed nearby, prompting Jeffrey to place his hand on his sidearm. They stood there for a few minutes and realized the sun would be going down in a couple of hours, and they wanted to find a fertile ginseng spot. Marvin said on their way they stumbled upon what he dubbed a honey hole full of ginseng and filled their bags. Yet again, a large rock landed, this time closer. With the sun setting, they quickened their pace, eager to leave the eerie woods behind. As they were walking, they saw an old hunting cabin through the trees. As they approached the cabin, they heard deep, breathy sounds. Their eyes widened as they saw a Sasquatch standing just a few feet from the cabin. Jeffrey instinctively reached for his gun, but Marvin cautioned him, "Don't shoot unless it charges." Marvin said they weren't sure whether to run or stand their ground. As they were quietly discussing what they should do, surprisingly the cabin's door opened and an older man stepped out holding a shotgun. He looked at Jeffrey and told him to put his weapon down. Thinking the man didn't realize the Bigfoot was a few feet from his makeshift house, Jeffrey pointed to the Sasquatch. The man nonchalantly looked at the creature, then invited them inside. Puzzled but relieved, they walked inside the man's residence. Marvin said the rest of this story is even crazier than seeing the Bigfoot to begin with. He said the man introduced himself as Old Ray. He told them that the creatures won't hurt you unless they feel threatened. He told them that he had spent all seasons except for winters in this cabin for the last 2 years. Old Ray said they scared him half to death when he first saw them. He told them about hearing their vocalizations for the first couple weeks he spent in the cabin, and how he didn't recognize the sounds as any animal he was familiar with. One morning he opened his door and there laid a whole bunch of berries that he almost stepped in. Then one day, while out hunting, he ended up over by a water hole, and there was a Sasquatch standing in the water catching fish. He said he couldn't believe his eyes as he stood quietly watching from a distance for about 15 minutes before it noticed me. Old Ray told him that afternoon he went coon hunting, and he left part of a raccoon carcass on a small wooden shelf he built on the cabin beside the door. When he checked the shelf about 2 a.m., the carcass had been replaced with a fish. He said he even left a couple blankets out for them when he left last fall. Old Ray assured them the Sasquatch meant them no harm and even seemed to be friendly. Marvin said he and Jeffrey listened intently, barely believing their own ears. Before they knew it, the sun had nearly set, and they were saying they needed to head to their truck before it was completely dark. When they stepped outside the small cabin, the creature was nowhere to be seen. They were looking at each other nervously, and Old Ray assured them the Sasquatch were there, but their masters at hiding. He again told them they would be fine. They made their way back to the truck, very aware of every sound around them. As they drove home, the day replayed in their minds. "Nobody will ever believe this," Jeffrey said. Marvin nodded in agreement. They shared their story with their immediate families, who were both amazed and skeptical, but knew the gentlemen weren't the type to make something like this up. Years passed, and they kept their encounter a secret until now, hoping to shed light on the peaceful nature of these elusive creatures. Despite the disbelief they may face, Jeffrey and Marvin knew one thing for certain. What they experienced in those woods was real, and it forever changed their perception. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like this and subscribe to our channel, Dreamscape Horrors, as there's much more to come.